On a Sunday evening in August of 1971, millions of Americans had their regular television programming suddenly interrupted. President Richard Nixon took the screen to announce that he was unilaterally cutting the cord between the United States dollar and gold. To understand why an American president would deliberately dismantle the anchor of the global monetary system, we have to look at the ancient problem he was ultimately trying to solve. Long before complex financial markets, early human trade relied on bartering. But this system suffered from a strict bottleneck known as the coincidence of wants. If a farmer had wheat and wanted a pair of shoes, they had to find a cobbler who specifically wanted wheat in return. Societies tried to solve this by using intermediary commodities, like salt or shells. But these objects were hard to transport in bulk, difficult to divide accurately, and nearly impossible to standardize. Without a trusted, universally verifiable unit to measure value, human trade was trapped. Economies remained isolated and local, entirely unable to scale across borders. The breakthrough came with the refinement of gold and the invention of assaying, the process of testing a metal's purity. For the first time, merchants had a highly durable, verifiable currency that carried its value wherever it went. By the 19th century, global empires formalized this trust into the gold standard. Paper money was introduced, but it functioned essentially as a coat check ticket, a physical receipt you could exchange for actual gold locked in a bank vault. This structure forced a hard physical limit on governments. They could only issue as much paper currency as they had physical metal to back it, stripping away their ability to print money endlessly and trigger runaway inflation. Gold's rigid physical scarcity was actually its greatest feature. It provided an immovable anchor that gave rival nations the mutual confidence required to build the first true era of global trade. Fast forward to 1944. The Second World War had left the international economy in total ruins, and global trade was effectively non-existent. Delegates from 44 allied nations gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. They were tasked with engineering a unified financial system from the ashes of war. The resulting agreement established a clever mechanism for stability. Instead of every nation hoarding gold, the world's currencies would be pegged at fixed exchange rates directly to the United States dollar. The crucial second half of this agreement required the United States to peg the dollar directly to physical gold at $35 an ounce. This worked because, at the time, America controlled roughly 70% of the world's known gold reserves. For 25 years, this system operated flawlessly. It generated immense global prosperity, because international markets held absolute trust that the US dollar was quite literally as good as gold. But a mathematical flaw was quietly festering inside this economic boom, a paradox known as the Triffin dilemma. This chart shows the scale of the problem. As international trade expanded exponentially, the global market required a constant, massive influx of US dollars just to conduct daily business. To supply that required liquidity, the Federal Reserve had to print more currency. But as you can see here, physical gold mining is constrained by the finite speed of pulling ore out of the ground. It could not possibly scale fast enough to back the new money. By the late 1960s, the breaking point arrived. There were roughly 4 times as many dollars circulating abroad as there was gold inside American vaults. Recognizing the math, foreign nations panicked and began aggressively exchanging their dollars to drain U.S. gold reserves. The exact physical scarcity that once made gold the perfect stabilizer had become an unbreakable ceiling. It was actively suffocating global economic growth. Facing imminent depletion of American reserves, President Nixon and his top economic advisors retreated to Camp David in August 1971 to confront the mathematical reality. Their solution was unavoidable. Nixon severed the dollar from gold entirely, converting it. In the aftermath, the strict pegs of Bretton Woods dissolved into floating exchange rates. Central banks finally gained the flexibility to expand or contract their money supplies to actively manage economic cycles. Untethering currency from a shiny metal allowed the global economy to expand continuously, matching the pace of human industry and technological progress without waiting for miners to strike a new vein. Gold functioned as the necessary training wheels of the early global economy. It provided the indisputable physical stability needed to connect disparate nations. But to achieve modern, limitless growth, humanity had to let go of the metal and learn to trust in the institutional system itself.